Hello, everybody. This is Sumit and Eddie from Jombone. Jombone is a digital staffing solutions provider. And here at Jombone, we thought, what is it that we should bring to our audience so that we can share some knowledge with you? In today's video, we are going to talk about the vertical market dynamics that is impacting the staffing industry. And when I say vertical market dynamics, as we know, there are different industries which are looking to hire blue collar workforce, and then there are certain aspects that has been modified by COVID, and then there are some other changes that has happened because of rising inflation costs and a lot of other macroeconomic factors. And I think in today's video we are looking to talk about that so that we can share this information with you. And joined by Eddie, welcome.
Thank you, Sumit. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so I think let's start by Eddie. Let's start by talking about e-commerce fulfillment and logistics business. As these businesses, they have been the traditional users of the contingent blue collar workforce. As you know that all of these business needs to hire. Some are seasonal in nature. Some businesses peak up during certain times of the year. But I think one factor that I notice in the industry is that e-commerce these days, where everything is being bought online these days, almost, it's really driving the need for more and more warehouses and workers that are needed to be able to fulfill that business. It is started by Amazon, in which Amazon started delivering. There are a lot of companies that are opening in the last mile space. So I think so these companies who are currently operating in this segment, they're pushing small businesses also, to move away from their traditional brick and mortar, retail space, so that they can also build their online presence and using tools like Shopify and other stuff, and then backed by a warehousing or a distribution company that can do e-commerce fulfillment. So I think in this industry, these are the factors that are really going to drive the need for more and more workers that they need. And if we are drawing, everybody's drawing from the same labor pool, then most likely it is going to result in shortage of workers all the time. And then companies are going to complain about, we're not getting workers, and or our costs are increasing because there are too many companies chasing too few people. So I think this is one of the market dynamic factors that is really shaping the way for this temporary blue collars workers industry. So this is the first one. So would you like to talk about like any other one, Eddie?
Yeah, Sumit, I believe that that ties directly with what's going on with the transportation and warehousing industry. So, with everything that you said, of course, transportation and warehousing is increasing. So, it's a sector that is getting really, really busy, but then it's also finding some barriers. There's a disconnect between this, supply and the demand. There is a gap. um, there is a lack of drivers out in the market. We have the fact that there is a lot of uh, baby boomers that are retiring. um, there's also new regulations that have been implemented, shorter shifts for drivers when they're driving. So all these is piling up to a situation that needs to be resolved, and there is more and more demand every day. The other portion of that is the just-in-time production and management of the inventory. Um, as e-commerce increases, there is a higher need for more people in the industry, not only on the transportation side, but also on the warehousing and the distribution side. And of course, we can also talk about other areas. What do you have in mind?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. See, the thing is, if you think about the full, the logistics and supply chain industry, something needs to be manufactured, and then something needs to be made available for somebody to sell, and then it is required to be distributed, to the end consumer. So I think so all these industries are very tightly linked with each other. And you touched upon transportation and warehousing. And while I was talking about e-commerce fulfillment, but I think the core, or one of the core areas also, which is really impacting this, is the manufacturing. So as we now see that during COVID-19, Canada has to rely a lot on countries outside of Canada for manufacturing, China being one of the primary hubs. So I think so there's an increasing how would I say, awareness in countries to be able to become self-sufficient, and that's where the government is really offering some good incentives for businesses to reshore, which means that they are looking to bring on or the manufacturing from third party countries like China and other countries, and which is also going to make sure that there's a need for more workers to be hired. One is skilled labor, which is definitely needed for manufacturing, but also about people who would need to help that manufactured good to be uh, transported, and then eventually to be sold. So I think all these factors, if you see, manufacturing which is coming onshore, like companies are reshoring, and because they want better quality, they want, the government want to increase more jobs locally in Canada, that combined with the transportation and the warehousing so that they can be fulfilled by through the e-commerce channel, is really driving the need for more and more temporary blue collar workers. And which is what I think we want to share with everybody, that these are the dynamics that is going to change the way businesses are going to engage workers. And for some businesses, for some, it is an expense line item. They want to hire workers because they don't know whether it is going to be a sustainable model or not. But I think these are some of the factors that we see, which is really going to impact the how would I say, the supply side of the marketplace, which is the workforce. And we really want, like, our listeners to this audio to understand that these are the factors which are there. And it also applies to retail also, Eddie. Like, what is your view on retail and services sector?
Yeah, the way I see it, Summit, is that how if you tie all this in, if you look about e-commerce and the fulfillment and logistics, and then the barriers that we find in terms of the transportation, the warehousing, and the manufacturing. So how do we get these to final user? So with these huge changes in demand, instant satisfaction, people um, ordering via Amazon to have an item delivered to their home the very next day or the same day. So all those demand changes, that's where there's gonna be a need for more workers and for more workers flexibility, so they can be available at any given time. Because it's the only way that is going to be sustainable for those retail giants and big e-commerce companies, right? That they have that contingent workforce, because otherwise it would not be a sustainable model.
Absolutely. And I think if you think about like these dynamics that we talked about, and everything now is then going to be tied back into the cost for a business, which is like their cost will increase because the supply demand gap is getting increased. There's increased competition in the marketplace with the rising inflation and interest costs. So this is where all these factors are going to contribute towards making this slightly costly affair. So which is where it is extremely important for businesses to be able to think out of the box about all these factors and plan for these factors in advance, in relation or in like close, how would I say, in close agreement with whatever their respective business goals are, and then make an informed decision. So
Right.
yeah, so with that, I think that's a good topic, and I hope that we're able to talk and bring some value to our listeners or to our viewers. And we look forward to, Eddie and I, we look forward to share more such video content with you in the future. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, guys.